Assalamu alaikum, you're watching Views and News and I'm Faisal Rahman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be actually continuing with the same topic on which we did a program yesterday. And that was about the very positive signal sent by Narendra Modi to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And he wished him on the 23rd of March. And earlier than that, he also wished him because the Prime Minister and the First Lady, they are both suffering from COVID-19 virus. We hope and pray that they'll get well soon. And that was something which was pretty unprecedented. Though these are the SOPs normally, the diplomatic norms, I would say, they're always in place. But a lot of people believe that now, since a lot is happening on the Afghan front, Pakistan is playing a very vital role when you talk about bringing in peace in Afghanistan, or at least resuming the dialogue. Pakistan has been a very major player even in Moscow, and later it is going to be in Turkey as well. So a lot has been happening. To talk about today, since 23rd March parade was delayed due to the weather, and today it was held in Islamabad. What a beautiful parade it was. And the Prime Minister, since he could not attend, so President was there as well. Unfortunately, the situation in South Asia and the wider region has been poor due to conspiracies, hate, terrorism and bilateral disputes. So that is going to be one area of our topic. Whenever or whatever is happening in Kashmir, it has become a human tragedy. The Pakistani nation is with the Kashmiri people and will continue to stand by them. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah had said Kashmir is Pakistan's jugular vein. We are raising the issue of Kashmir and will continue to do so. This was stated by the President Arif Alvi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote a letter to Prime Minister Imran Khan. In his letter, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said his country desires cordial relations with the Pakistani people and extended greetings on the occasion of Pakistan Day. Last month, a major breakthrough. Pakistan and India announced ceasefire along the LOC. And last important area is Pakistan and India began their first talks under the Permanent Enders Commission in 2.5 years in New Delhi to resolve the long-standing dispute over the hydroelectric projects India is building on the River Chenab. So these are the major areas we'll be talking about, and in particular, when we hear that Narendra Modi wants to have good relationship with Pakistan. I think India has been the only country in the region which made sure that peace should not prevail. But now, how people are looking at it, should we trust him? Because trust deficit is another very important area. When you talk about the Indians, they always extend that olive branch, but interestingly, nothing happens after that, back to square one. When you talk about rumors regarding meetings between various senior officials that took place in London, this was reported by the Indian media. So means that if it is happening on that front, things will get better. LOC violations, I'm just going to give you a number, 3,000. Just imagine 3,000 violations in the year 2020, and this was the year of Corona. 3,000 violations in 1 year, just imagine. And the total number of people which got killed were around 100. Thousands were injured, including children, women, as well as elderly people. You talk about another very important aspect, that is about the water issue. I think that is the most crucial and important area which really needs a lot of attention and discussion so that this issue is taken care of. Again, a very positive step. So where exactly are we heading? Is it a chance that both the countries have? Or is it the Biden administration that is again putting some sort of pressure on Indians to sort of step back a little, do not be hostile because of the Afghan situation and Pakistan's role out there? Or is it another plan to sort of, make sure that Pakistan shouldn't 100% go into the Russian and Chinese bloc? There are various aspects. So we'll be talking about that. Let me introduce you to our panelists. We have with us in our studio, on my right is Adnan Kaisar Saab, Defense Analyst, Research Associate, Conference of Defense Institute, Ottawa, Canada, and relates with the armed forces and international diplomacy. Thank you so much, Adnan Kaisar Saab, for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
And we'll be talking to Hamid Khan Saab. Hamid Khan Saab is an expert on foreign affairs and international relations. Pleasure to have you, Hamid Khan Saab, in our program. And we'll also be talking to Dr. Jamil Khan, who's a former ambassador. But let me put the first question, sir. Whatever has been said, whatever you heard from the Indian Prime Minister, first, praying for our Prime Minister to get well soon, and secondly, sir, on the 23rd of March, he has wished the Pakistani nation, and he has extended the warm wishes and has said that we would like to have cordial relations with Pakistan. Sir, it's been how many years? Almost 74?
Yeah,
Correct,
73
sir?
plus.
73 plus. And sir, every time we sort of, trust them.
We make ends meet,
Sir,
somebody
we have
moves
given
end.
them the most favored nations status so many times. What is so different this time, sir?
Well, first-
2021, Narendra Modi's second term, Khan Sahib is the Prime Minister.
So first of all, thank you very much. First of all, Faisal, it's always a privilege to be at your program, and I'm extremely delighted. And Assalamu alaikum to all your viewers as well. So first of all, if you see my resume, you have yourself mentioned some experience in international diplomacy. So try to understand that these letters which the head of the government or the head of the state, they write to the other head of the governments at these occasions like Republic Day or Pakistan Day. So this is a pro forma activity. So there is nothing unique about it. Although these types of letters are sometimes used to convey a specific message, which Prime Minister Modi has done very astutely. So mind you, so first of all, this is a routine affair. This is not out of an ordinary letter, which Mr. Modi had said.
But a lot of people say that Austin Lloyd was there in India. So maybe his presence or his meetings, they have ended up resulting in this kind of a decision, sir?
So, we guys are analysts. We are paid to join the dots and analyze. So we do not know what is taking place between the governments. So there is a lot of talk about back-channel diplomacy between the two countries, external pressures and everything. And I was earlier talking to you about a paper which I had written some 2 years back when this Balakot incident took place. And I was the only one, I tell you, who had analyzed this Balakot attack from a very different perspective. And my paper had been published by South Asia Journal in the United States. And I had observed that, you see, there had been a game theory between India and Pakistan that any subconventional or terrorist attack on Indian soil would result into a conventional attack or a cold start doctrine attack, and Pakistan will use Hataf 9 and then subsequently. Nothing happened. So you see, that's why I called it a choreographed corporal punishment of Pakistan by India. 17 minutes they came. They didn't destroy anything except a few trees. And the next day, Pakistan carried out, did not cross the line of control. And Abhinandan is out of the script incident for which we had to release him after one day very gracefully. So whatever is happening, try to understand, has a background. And if you recall 2 years ago, you see Saudi Arabia had pledged quite $1 billion of rupees, and the UAE.
3.2, yeah. Both the countries.
And it was in February, the same month, when this incident of Balakot attack took place. So there had been some kind of, I see as an analyst, that this had been some kind of not a conspiracy, but some kind of an agreement, a silent agreement that, let the pressure which is piling up in India went out by a cross-border attack in which nothing would be destroyed from both sides. And, there would be a tit-for-tat response and everything. And this is a continuation of that episode because everything had been choreographed. So whatever we are seeing now, you see, meanwhile, Ladakh took place, India was boasting about and had some kind of a misconception about its ability to fight a two-front war simultaneously against China as well
Despite
as...
so many claims made by General Bipin.
So unfortunately, they realized, everything dawned on them that, this is beyond your capacity, beyond your capability. So get real, smell the coffee, and sort out these issues. So they sorted out the issue with China. They are sorting out the issue with Pakistan as well. But You see, now, unfortunately, I see that Pakistan is again bending over backwards and giving a lot of concessions in indecent haste, which I see. Although I am no one to criticize the government's stance, but as an
But they
academic,
need to be cautious. You can't just trust someone like that. You need to make sure that your own interest
Are
is there and
safeguarded.
they are safeguarded.
They are
Exactly.
safeguarded. Exactly.
And interestingly, there's another very interesting story, I would say. And because of the SCO, most likely the Indian forces would be in Pakistan and they would be trained by the Pakistani forces against the war on terror. So that is going to be another very interesting
And
aspect.
I had noted a few years ago that this economic platform of SCO
All right.
would one day become a military
All right.
agreement.
All right. Now coming to you, sir. Interestingly, now when you hear about this proposal that India wants to have a great relationship with Pakistan, what's going on in India? What's brewing in the mind of Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, their national security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, or Mr. Shankar Jaikishan, for that matter, sir? Yes. Dr. Jamil Khan, Hamid Khan Sahab.
Oh, it's from me. Okay. I don't know. Thank you very much, Faisal. To be honest, we always, as a peace-loving nation, we always welcome every step taken by India if it is towards peace. But the question is how sincerely that step is taken. That's the first question. Secondly, to be honest, I'm not very optimistic about the situation at the moment, especially when we talk about Kashmir, especially when we talk about the core issue of Kashmir. I don't think so there will be any change. But that's the only thing which Pakistan has to demand to the India and to all the mediators. If we talk about America or UAE or Saudi Arabia role to pushing India towards dialogue with Pakistan, then Pakistan has to emphasize on only one thing, that what is going to happen with the revocation of Article 370 and 35A. It has to be reversed. Then what about the domiciles which they have issued in millions to the Hindus to change the demography of the Kashmir? That has to be cancelled. Then Pakistan has to talk about the atrocities going on in Kashmir, because Pakistan has learned that India does these kinds of trick to I should say, to decrease the pressure on its own government when they are facing internally many challenges. When we talk about challenges in India, we have seen they are facing the farmers' protest, they are facing the atrocities in situation in Kashmir, and many other going on protests and agitations. Then there is one more important thing, Faisal, which I think that Pakistan, there may be a trap from India with one letter or anything, and it is nothing more than a letter which Pakistan cannot trust on India at the moment. We always welcome. There has to be resolved, and all the disputes between two nuclear countries must be resolved with the peace talks. But without addressing the core issue, without going toward the resolution of the issues. The only problem is that India uses or take the time whenever it is very much pressure building on them. As you spoke about Biden administration, yes, Biden administration is putting a pressure on India to resolve the disputes, but India is so good to linger on these kinds of issues, and India is so. And then
Hamid Khan Sahab, if you allow me, because we have also been joined in by Dr. Jamil Khan, but before I go to Dr. Saab, I want a quick comment from you on this very important agenda and this point of view, that this is not the first time that this is happening.
Exactly.
Indians have been there, but at the same time, the moment they do this, something wrong happens, something against the military, or could be an inside job or whatever. I'm not going to go into the blame game. But then everything is reversed. Now, 2-3 important developments. One, Joe Biden's major, conference in which he was a part, and basically he also exercises a lot of power there as well.
Exactly.
About the Quad, Japanese, Australians, Indians, and the Americans. So definitely that is there, sir. Austin
Yeah.
Lloyd was in India. That is another very important development, and this particular statement came right after that. Number three is the Afghan issue, sir. That is at a very,
Yeah.
very interesting phase. And I think the role of Pakistan is very important. I think Pakistan is also very categorically and clearly told the Biden administration that, see, this is what we can do, this is what we have done, and this is what you can expect in the future. India seems to be the actual bone of contention. Your take, sir.
Exactly, that is so true. That I mean, if we talk about the situation or economical situation in the region, India is the bone of contention. And let me bring one more point to you that India is playing a double or triple role with game with the world. One on the one hand, India is part of Quad, where they are working against China. On the other hand, India is also part of BRICS, which is talking about having a strategy against America. So this is what India is doing. That India is playing a very, I should say, a negative role within the region. On top of it, India cannot be trusted by any of these nations. And Pakistan, this is where Pakistan is emphasizing that India is playing with these nations. Then China is very strongly coming up with their steps towards economical restoration in the area. China is offering to all the countries to be the part of the economical progress in the region. And whether it is Russia, whether it is India, China is offering them. But Pakistan's role is very important, and Pakistan's role will be much more if India will be, not disrupting the situation and the peace and the process in the area. Where we talk about India's role on the Quad, China is already ready for it. China is much stronger. China have shown their muscles to them in Ladakh and everywhere. So I always believe that no matter whatever Quad is planning against China, China has done a much better planning against them as well. And China is well aware of India's
Exactly what's
role
happening
against
around
China.
them, and especially in the South China
Exactly.
Sea. But sir, coming to you, Dr. Jamil Khan Saab, thank you so much, sir, for taking your time out and talking to PTV World. Now, a couple of points. Prime Minister Imran Khan very, very clearly mentioned that if India is going to take the first step, or they're going to initiate the peace process between the two countries, and the major issues should be taken care of, issues like Kashmir for that matter, issues like Sir Creek, LOC, that has been taken care of, but let's see for how long. Again, you talk about the Indian aggression, you talk about the disinfo labs, you talk about the Indian hegemonic design in the region, you talk about the kind of Indian attitude that is towards Pakistan, the kind of allegations they have put on Pakistan, even in the FATF case or otherwise. So should we trust them, or should we be careful, or do you believe that this current situation is basically making us play on the front foot and Indians seem to be on the back foot? Your take, sir. Sir, if you may answer this, and then I'll get back to Jamil Saab.
Well, first of all, understand that India has a India is in a haste to join to sit at the global high table. So it's doing all kinds of stuff. It is at the same time it is getting S-400 from Russia. As well as it is flirting with the United States in a new world order in which United States would like to create India as a hedge against China. I don't see any future of Quad, to be very frankly, very honest, because China, because these countries like Japan, Australia, and India, they have been wavering. They don't have their heart and soul into this Quad to confront China. And India has recently seen, India saw it in Doklam in 2017 when there was a 70-day standoff, and now India has again seen it. So India does not stand a chance to confront China. And there is kind of a dissonance in India whether to stand as a partner with the United States or not, because India, mind you, India has always stood as a non-aligned country and as a member of the NAM, although it had close ties with the former Soviet Union, but it tries to boast.
I think the Indians have played their cards very wisely, sir. Whenever the issue regarding the foreign affairs or international affairs is concerned, sir, I think they utilized the Russians very well, the Chinese very well. Look at the bilateral trade, sir. That's an Indian favor. You talk about USA and Indian trade. That's again in the Indian favor. So you can well imagine, I mean, you can't rule that fact out, sir.
But Faisal, their Achilles heel is this Hindutva. I had written a paper in 2017.
I'll get back.
The Hindutva itch.
I'll get back to that point, sir, because that is actually the real issue, the mindset,
The mindset.
kind of frame that has been developed again. But once again, sir, Jamil sir, welcome to PTV World now. The earlier question which I had put for you was regarding the current standing of Pakistan and India, sir. It seems that Indians have been persuaded in one way or the other by some sort of a superpower, perhaps Americans, to sort of make an effort to have at least a relationship which is workable relationship, sir. And India wants to do that. But when it comes to the real issues, they will remain the way they are. Your take, sir. Dr. Jamil Saab.
I can't hear you properly. In fact, very little I can hear. I can hardly make out anything.
Sir, can you hear me now? Am I audible to you?
No, I can't hear you properly. Please, PCR, can you clear the
Sir,
sound?
in fact, I'll just ask my production department to engage you again, sir, because there seems to be some sort of a technical problem. Anyway, coming to you now, sir. One important area, and that is about the approach of Pakistan, sir. I think the 27th February decision was a brilliant decision, not because what Pakistan did was exceptional, but what Pakistan thought was actually the real, I would say, the blow to the Indians. That if you will do this, we'll give you a calculated response and we will give you in the daylight, and we gave them. And they understood and they exactly know the kind of mindset we have and the kind of capacity and capability we have. Now, Hamid Khan Saab, do you think that now, since the Americans, they've been supporting the Indians so much, and then they are the geostrategic partners of the Americans, the Indians really want their, their power display in the Indian Ocean? Do you think this India, or the current India, the non-secular India, Modi's India, Hindutva India, and extremist India is capable of doing so, sir?
No, Faisal, I am not really very hopeful. As you said, that this Hindutva India, where they are following, Arth Shastra books of Chankya ideology, how they can, think about the peace, where they think about the Hinduism supremacy and all that stuff. I think so that India is really playing with America. India is playing within the a dirty game. I still think that if you look into Indian media right now, they are not saying that India is shaking hand with Pakistan or India is ready to go for the dialogue. They are portraying it, or they are displaying it in a different way. This is what tells you the mindset of the government, that what media is saying there, they are not appreciating. I was in a program in India and I told them that let's talk about the peace and let's talk about the ceasefire on the LOC, and they were taking the things in a different way. So this is the Indian mindset which is has gone worse since Modi has come into power. And Modi has turned India into not even a non-secular state. He has turned India into a Hindutva country, which is only working for the Hinduism. Now, Pakistan cannot be trapped, and Pakistan government and Pakistan's all, I should say, foreign office, they are well aware of Indian tricks now. We have learned a lot from the India. And when you talk about the 27th February Operation Swift Retard, I think that was the best thing Pakistan did. Pakistan not only told the India that what kind of answer or what kind of retreat we will do with them. Rather, we have told the world our capability and capacity and our determination towards the security and defense of our country. We have told the world that there is no compromise on the defending our motherland, our country. This is where Pakistan is clear. Pakistan and China relations are always are not acceptable for America and not acceptable for India. But on the other hand, there is a vital role, as you said in the beginning, of Pakistan in terms of Afghanistan situation, in terms of evacuation of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. So this is the time when Pakistan can play its card very wisely, and Pakistan should emphasize America that if they really want to
All right.
have the peace in the region, they have to force India to resolve the issues of Indus water, of Kashmir, of Sir Creek, line of control. All these issues can be resolved if
All right.
India force them, America
They
force them.
can be. But the question is again, will they be? Now coming back to you, Dr. Jamil, I hope you can hear me this time, sir.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now.
Perfect, perfect. Sir, the diplomatic approach. I mean, there was a time when Musharraf was in power, Khurshid Kasuri was the foreign minister, they were in India, and we got to know that the Kashmir issue would be sorted out in the next 24 to 48 hours, and everything has been done, documents have been prepared, and we were like, wow, is this possible? And it seemed possible, but nothing happened, sir. Back to square one. India will never leave Kashmir, sir. No matter what we do, we know that.
That's right.
They believe that this is closer to them. We believe it's a jugular vein. So that seems to be the problem. Whatever they are doing it rightly from their perspective, but as far as the international community is concerned, this is not acceptable. But yet they are doing it, sir. Your take.
All right. In fact, unless we view this entire issue from different perspectives, three different perspectives. One is the traditional diplomacy, the second is the public diplomacy, and more importantly, legal diplomacy. So if we let the entire world know that what is the legal position, and then from there we start doing our multi-dimensional and multi-layered approach. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Please.
All right. So unless we start doing our multi-layered and multi-faceted diplomacy, I think we will not be able to reach to that conclusion, and will not be able to convince the world. Now, what are those basically? I will just give a few bullet points very quickly, and if you would
Please.
like, we'll dilate upon that with the other panelists. You have August panelists. Now,
Please.
basically, this time, Pakistan and the Kashmiris, more importantly, all over the world, they should propel what atrocities are going on. And once they are propelling, once they are just letting the world know there are various platforms available, as I said, traditional diplomacy, legal diplomacy, and also the public diplomacy. Through these means available to us, we need to really make the world realize. And that, if we do it that way, through the public diplomacy, we'll create a bottoms-up pressure throughout the world to their respective governments. And when that happened, I was in United Nations on deputation, and I saw how this bottoms-up the pressure was developed in Europe and other countries by the East Timoris, Ramos Horta, their leader, Dr. Ramos Horta, and Sinana Gosmaud, who was a freedom fighter and then later became the president. And this is what they did. And ultimately, Indonesia had to really succumb to the pressure of the world. Now, that is one very good case study.
But Jamil Saab, if I may intervene, that issue was for the Christians. Talking about the East Timor issue. Coming to Sudan, sir, even it's the same equation.
Right. We have a OIC platform. We are not taking it, on the religious pedestal, but we have the OIC platform. 46th session of the Council of Ministers very recently, just few months ago, they passed a resolution. And in that resolution, they were crystal clear that the Kashmir is a core issue, and then implementation of UN Security Council. That was true, and they gave the unwavering support to the Kashmiris in that. What we needed to do and what we need to do is that there is a provision in OIC. You gave the example of Catholic churches. They were the main supporter of East Timor. Now we know that OIC has not supported us very well, but we should not give up. We are the founder member of OIC, and there are very strong members in that organization, 57 members organization, and they are supporting us. We only need to really have a better ingress in the member countries of OIC to propel that. So that point, what you raised, that is my take on
Again,
that.
sir,
But
again,
secondly,
sir, Jamil Saab, on an honest note, because in management they say that if you know your problem, seems to be, sir, on an honest note, when it comes to a fact, if every time we hear that we'll be out of the grey list, Hamad Saab tells us that all the homework has been done, but we end up staying in the grey list not once, twice. It's been going on for the last 2 years, 2.5 years. All you have is Turkey, Malaysia and China to support you, to keep you out of getting into the blacklist. But you can't even get that number 13, 14, sir, even in the Asia Pacific group. What my point is, you have been a diplomat, you know exactly how things function, how things move, what is the importance of lobbying and everything. Sir, over here, when you talk about the support of the OIC, I don't think OIC has any value, sir. There are so many differences within the, it is not even an organization. OIC is a conference. I fail to understand why is it named like that, but yet, having said that, 57 members doing nothing. Jamil Saab.
Totally agreed. I was in fact coming on that point, but we should not give up on that platform. In fact, I raised this point because there was an example of the Catholic Church who supported East Timor. Now let me further proceed from here. And basically, there are other organizations, EU. Now EU is there where the East Timorese had really worked very much, and EU had very recently supported us in terms of Indian propaganda. So that is one public diplomacy. Let me come back to the legal diplomacy. What stops us to let the world know that Article 49 of Geneva Convention is there, and Article 49 very clearly stipulates that the occupying power cannot transfer the civilian population from outside to inside or inside to outside, and the domicile, there are about 14 lakh domicile have been given, and people have started shifting. What does it imply? It means that the India is trying to change the democracy, and next coming few years, once they change the democracy, they will be very happy to ask us to just go for the plebiscite. Now, our aim should be, and this time, the dynamics of the world politics changing after the Joe Biden's administration. So in this dynamics, once the dynamics of political changes takes place, once the dynamics of geostrategic changes takes place in the region or in the world, then we have to align ourselves within that, because diplomacy is the subset of the politics. So we have to align our diplomacy, and now is the time that we have to come out of the box in this. What stops us encouraging Kashmiris to go to form a government in exile? And there are so many privileges of those people who form the government in exile. And these are the pressure tactics one can. SCO members are pressurizing us now, including China is trying to convince us that we should give the connectivity, because that there is an article in SCO so that the connectivity is to be given. But then we can only give those connectivities and invoke those articles of SCO or ECO once we resolve the major issue of the region. Because if that major issue, the core issue, that is Kashmir, if it's that is not resolved, all these regional organizations which has been formed under the UN Charter would not really be able to effectively do its job. And what stops us, for example, if we only base our arguments on the public diplomacy, legal diplomacy, and traditional diplomacy on the basis of two human rights commissioner's report. One of the reports last year, once it was presented to the world, the commissioner had tears rolling down his cheeks. And all what we discussed on all the television channels and on all the platforms, that is included in that report. So
All right.
my point is, unless we base our arguments and on certain legal, international legal framework, we will not be able to, strike our point in the world community to pressurize India. Now, the changing dynamics in this region, United States would never like this region at this time to go to that level where United States, the Joe Biden administration, is compelled to enhance its deployment. They can't afford it. Post-pandemic, things are changing. So therefore, their economic interest, their geopolitical interest, all these things, if we keep it in our mind, you can see what UAE has done in terms of Kashmir and how this the recent the two military generals have decided what to do on the line of control. So
All right.
some of these things are developing, and we should try we should try and also highlight not only Article 49 of the Geneva Convention, in which I just mentioned, they cannot give the domicile and ask. We should invoke that. Then the Article 20 of the International Commission of Law, it says if that happens, it can tantamount to the war crime, which is covered in International Criminal Court Article 8(2)(b), where if that happens, the world community
Again,
members
Jarul
can take
Saab,
that
a
money.
lot of ifs, a lot of ifs. That's about. But anyway, sir, thank you so much for your comments, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. So, last closing remarks from you.
I was listening to the ambassador, and with all due respect, they are very distinguished ambassadors and diplomats who we had, and I have personally known them. They have memorized all the UN resolutions on Kashmir. They have memorized Simla Agreement, and they talked about Geneva Convention, and nothing has happened so far in the past 73 years, and nothing is going to happen. So first of all, we have to understand, I'm a military man. I know that I do not propagate a military intervention or something, but our approach on Afghanistan had been very calculated and very prudent, and that has worked in the past 2 decades. And that's the point, unless Pakistan takes a proactive action instead of being apologetic on Kashmir issue, as unfortunately we have seen in the present Islamabad, the security dialogue and everything, not going to solve Kashmir issue. We like Bosnia, like East Timor, like South Sudan, in Serbia and everything, we have seen that it is lawful under the UN Convention for an outside armed support for the indigenous movement in an
Absolutely,
oppressed.
sir. Absolutely.
So
Makes a lot
until
of
unless
sense,
that happens, Kashmir will stay as status quo, and we will keep harping, and we are not going to reach any conclusion.
Sir, Hamid Saab, your final comment.
Yeah, Faisal, with an apology, I have to agree with Adnan Saab, and with an apology, I'll disagree a little bit with Jameel Saab, with all due respect. Tamur and, South, I have study. It is nothing but to expose the dual standards of United Nations when it comes to a matter of Muslims and when it comes to the matter of Christianity. That was the conclusion when we talk about East Timor or South Sudan. While Kashmir issue, I think Pakistan has to keep telling the world, but mainly the Kashmiris, the way they are fighting for their freedom, I think eventually Kashmiri itself will bring India down to their knees, and Kashmiris will get their right of plebiscite eventually, because this is not a small struggle. This is a struggle where they have given more than 70,000 lives. They have given hundreds and thousands of women been raped. So Kashmiris are not going to stop for their right of self-determination, and Pakistan has to be with them. Pakistan is with Kashmiris, and this issue will be resolved, but with some kind of, I should say that, has to be a freedom fighting carry on, and this is the only way. Pakistan has to tell
Absolutely,
India
sir. The struggle
that there
can't
is
go
no
in
other.
vain.
Yes, that struggle can't go in
boys
vain.
and girls,
That's
they have
the
been
only
blinded.
point.
85
Exact-
killed, 12,000 women were
Yes.
raped. God knows what is the number
Exactly.
of injuries and the people who are missing. So I think a lot
Yeah.
needs to be done
And
and
we-
needs to
we
be
have-
done
Yeah.
soon. Thank you very much, Hamid Saab, for your
Put
comments, sir. I'm
line
totally running
on-
out of
on,
time,
on-
but it was a pleasure having
my-
you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your presence as well, sir. And it was
Pleasure to be here.
pleasure to have Ambassador as well, sir. And sure, and that's all we have for this hour.